Go ahead. That's what I get for not having an operator. All right, we're recording. I had called the meeting order without recording going because we don't have an operator tonight. So this is the May 17th meeting of the Hampden Conservation Commission. And all we've done is review the minutes. Yeah, we can't, well, can't she vote from there? Oh, she can't because she can't read them, right? She can't read them, so we can't vote. Okay. We reviewed the minutes, but we can't vote because there's only 2 voting members since the remote person.
Ted, I can't hear you.
Now what? Nothing at all, Judy?
I could hear you before, but I can't now.
See if she can hear you and see if it's my speaker.
Can you hear me, Judy? No.
No. Why did,
Yes, when you went to the cloud.
I'm unmuted. I got video.
Ah, okay, I've got it. Sorry.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Okay, the next one is the breakfast.
Yeah, 19, we're gonna do 19 Chapin Road, Greco's. We're here for an informal preliminary discussion on installing a 26 by 40 foot barn. We've had discussions with DEP. The land is not in agricultural use, so the barn is not exempt. Most of the property is in national heritage. They are filing a MISA checklist, MESA. We will visit the site before anything goes further after this meeting today. And our main discussion is to find out where they're going to put the barn, that it's outside of all the protected areas.
Yeah, the Greco's are here. Why don't you come up here? Okay.
Why don't you turn on the microphone? How do you do? Did you bring some goodies in your hand?
Well, I brought not copies for everyone, but I brought a map of the property. And a pencil of where we want to put the barn. It's very likely, and a copy of the picture of the barn. Proposed barn. I don't know what else you really needed to see.
Well, we'd like to see where you're going to place it.
Okay.
That's the main concern, right, Judy?
Yes,
Yeah, we submitted the mess online today,
Okay.
so we did that.
Mess has been filed today online, she said.
Okay, so. Okay, so this is Chapin Road.
Sure.
Up here.
Jim? Lower your mic, see the mic? Lower the boom down to there you go.
I'm saying the master file that we filled in will pretty much show better. So where it's gonna go.
Right. But we don't see it. That's why we need to.
Okay, here it is. I'll bring you.
Okay.
Jimmy, what did you do with the proposed picture? You erased it?
Yeah, I didn't. think it was-
people want to do this, but we're not privileged.
Oh, okay. Where's the master file? That shows that.
But actually now, we are putting it on 37 Chapin. That's because,
Existing building.
because we looked at the map. The map that you had given us, and I said.
And it was, right, the line wasn't.
Line was wrong.
Yeah, the one. 2 more inches.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
So Judy, if you look at their driveway, there's a building on the left side And if you go up a little bit farther, they're gonna push it to the barn on the right side, completely into that piece of property.
No, it's on the left, going up the road, it's on the left side.
The existing's on the left.
Correct.
Okay,
The new one's gonna go on the right.
No,
No, the left.
See this?
So. Okay, so.
Oh, it's going on the same side, I'm
But
sorry.
it's actually going on the 37 Chapin Road property, which we also own. The trust owns and I'm the trustee.
Okay,
So this is our little driveway behind the house.
this is your house here,
My house is here.
right there.
This little thing is the existing, it's like a shed, like a little
Okay.
work shed. Then up further, this is it right of way, and there's houses up here, but we own this property. And we're putting it, proposing to put it right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on an elevated thing.
so is it going to be outside the riverfront?
I don't know, their little map doesn't show. Anyhow, it's on the left side, it was my mistake. The house is on the right, so if you look at the driveway, there's an existing shed on the left side. Opposite the house, you go a little further on the road and the barn's gonna be there on the left side. Of the access road, way before it curves.
Oh, then that puts it in riverfront.
you turn it up.
I got it up almost all the way, let me see.
It really, if at all possible, it should be bumped out of riverfront. But at least it should be in the 200, not the 100.
It's like the TV speaker.
Yeah.
They won't approve it if there's an alternative, and there's definitely an alternative, so.
She wants it outside the riverfront, the 100 foot,
Yeah, outside the 100 foot at least.
outside the 100 foot riverfront.
It is, it's about.
It's 150 feet between that and the river,
Oh, at least.
150 feet they're estimating. Did you, on the MESA report, did you put down exact footage?
Yeah, right.
Wait, on the miss,
Yeah, we're only getting speaker out of the PC, it's not coming out of there.
It's hard to hear, but
Yeah,
that's not bad. You're okay.
here's the mess of thing that we just submitted today. Who wants to see it?
So it was hard to, we drew it
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard to, that's just the,
But did you measure down to the river from,
we physically haven't.
oh,
Um,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't actually walked it out.
What is it? Right here.
I'm guessing it's beyond 100 feet.
It's hard to tell without actually seeing it.
Right.
yeah. DEP will never let us approve it in 100 foot buffer when there's plenty of at least 200 foot buffer space for them to put it.
Yeah,
So they need to put one map over the other and make sure they've got it out of the river.
yeah,
100
none of the
foot
maps
river.
they have dimensions on them, Judy.
Well, this.
Okay.
You have it right.
Well, my map doesn't have background, so I can't see where their house is.
Yeah,
This is the surveyed property. So here's the river.
Yeah.
Here, I guess, is the scale. And here is the proposed here.
Where's number? Zero is right here.
20. Well, it's gonna be close.
Yeah.
Because it's a big barn that's sitting
It's going long more.
there.
But it's going this way,
Barn is going
so if you go,
this way.
Yeah, it's gonna be like this. If you push the barn, away,
it's close
it's gonna be very close.
to 120.
You may not be,
120. Yeah.
DEP won't let you put it within.
Right, no, I understand. So we've already submitted the paperwork.
That's them. To them.
Yeah.
They may, but it's gonna be finished.
Oh, they got their, they did get their, letter back from, well, it wasn't a letter, it was an email back
But
from
that's
Mark.
120.
Right. But
Mesa doesn't really look at the riverfront. They don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that until it gets to DEP.
these are concerned about and
Okay,
DEP about waterfront. Right.
so they're two separate entities.
Two separate entities. There's the most protecting.
Gotcha, yes.
DEP is concerned about water. So if you have a lot of 200-foot area, they most likely welcome to the non-season. At this moment.
So how do we know who comes back to us to say yes or no?
Both. MESA.
Yeah, we try to help them figure out what DEP wants so that they won't give them a hard time.
Yeah, here.
Figure
out, to help them figure out.
He says,
Yeah.
what, yeah,
What they need.
Yeah.
And just that point has clear.
So what do we do now?
Then if you either will have to shove it closer to the road or go over. Because you can't be within. 100 feet, you can't, there's just most likely not.
Yeah, stay away from 100 feet from this line. From the river.
Most like this.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the pink part you should avoid. And then you can put it at all the other places.
Can you hear her?
sort of. What I told them to do, because we have to plan site inspection. So I told I told, Mr. and Mrs. Greco to, put stakes where the barn, the corners of the barn. And then when you and Tom go out there and do a site inspection, then you can measure it.
And you can measure it yourself,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
have a way of doing it.
Yeah.
If you're within that 100, if you're within the 100, not that they won't accept it, but they most likely won't. But there's always exceptions.
But, so let me ask Ted then, if we're just a little over the 100, or it's just a little closer than they like, would they give us like, things we have to follow, like you have to put up this, or you have, you know what I'm saying, give us, conditions.
You're gonna get conditions anyhow,
Okay.
because of the zone you're in. It's whether they allow a permanent building within the 100-foot
I know.
zone.
Okay.
And part of it falls on us, of course, but they're the final say. So we may say, okay, it's just a barn, we'll allow it, but they'll reject it. Because you have to remember, we're appointed by the town, but we report to the DEP. They're the final say.
And what they're really looking at is whether you have alternatives. And if you have an alternative to putting it in that 100-foot riverfront, that's considered a resource area and they just don't want you to do it.
Can you hear
They
her?
prefer you keep it out of the 200-foot, but they will give you leeway on that for sure.
What if you just shrunk the barn a bit?
Well, I mean, I think they should just go and measure. it.
Oh, yeah, they gotta
Yeah.
measure, but we're trying to tell them up front. They may give you, it's,
So let's say for the point of argument that it's 130 feet away.
then you're fine. If
Yeah,
you're,
then you won't get any hassle at all. So
No,
yeah,
it's just smarter.
It's
Yeah.
within 100 feet.
Right.
when it's a 90% thing, 90% of the time they'll say no. Once in a while, yeah, and that's the big if here, since you have so much other land,
Right.
it's not a hardship
Right.
per se. That's where you get into if you had no other land, then they say, all right, you got nowhere else to put it, But they're gonna look at it and say, you got a lot of land. Why are you putting it there?
Yeah. Partly we thought was the area that we want to put it in, but it's flat.
Yeah.
There's gonna be less disruption,
Mm-hmm.
less fill, less digging,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be a concrete pad. But, less disruption.
Of the property as it is, yeah.
Right, for the Mesa and, you know, DEP,
Hmm.
that's what we kind of thought too. But I know we just paid $300 for Mesa. I'm thinking we had to do that now. But if we don't get the authorization from the DEP, that $300 is wasted.
Well, I don't, if DEP makes them move it from where they want, do they have to refile with Mesa even if they get a no take?
Not unless it's a very significant move. They've already said it's okay.
Okay,
We can send them an amendment, but if it's not a significant move, they won't give you a hard time.
did you
They
hear?
don't really look at riverfront, they look at other stuff.
If you've already filed and say DEP makes you move it across the road,
Okay,
the width of the road, most likely MESA doesn't care because you're within that controlled area. And they won't care. Now, if you put it, 200 feet away on another piece of the property, then that's a different story.
right,
But if you just move it across the road, just say that was the answer.
Yeah.
They won't care because it's within that area.
Well, didn't they say they were just 20 feet overlapping? Can they move it 20 feet?
Well, because it's right along the road, they would have to go across the road
It's a right of way.
or the right of way. That's for the other houses.
Hmm,
Yeah, they can't block the road. They have to go completely across it and not block that road, Judy. That right of way.
yeah,
Because anywhere, the way the river curves, at least it looks like, and the way the road goes, the road kind of follows the river 100 or so plus or minus feet away. So
Yeah.
you can't move it up and down without, they're not gaining anything. They have to move it the other direction, over the road, over the right of way.
yeah. I'm not sure I understand that, but I think the best thing is maybe when you go out there to the site visit, see what you think. If you
Yeah.
think they don't have alternatives, then they don't.
Yep, yep. Yeah.
But if they do, DEP is not gonna let them put it in the 100-foot.
Yep, yep, yeah.
See,
And this is just a plan. That's why we're talking, so that we,
on the other side of the road, it's like a hill,
yeah,
with trees
And then
Yeah.
have to dig into that. Yeah.
trees and digging
and
and
if it gets to it, then maybe you have to use that argument with E DEP.
Yeah,
basically.
I think we'll have to go with your judgment, Ted and Tom.
Yeah, when we'll go out and look.
Initially, I want to put it on the other side of the road. And Scott Nicholas, who's gonna be doing the work, if we get approval. I don't know if you guys know Scott, John Nicholas' son. He says, you gotta dig into the hill here. We're talking about a hill and like this. And you gotta remove probably about 40 trees. Because you got a lot of pine trees there. You gotta dig it in and pour a big foundation into
Yeah.
the hill.
Yeah.
And he says that's gonna be a lot more expensive. And it's gonna be farther away from the house. And you're not gonna gain from buy it. You can put it here, which he recommended. He said this is gonna be a much more.
Well, why didn't they draw up the RDA, just with a dropped map for it the way they really want it? And when you go out there, you can see what you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that makes
You
sense.
hear her? Yes.
And we'll schedule them
Yeah.
for an official public hearing at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a extension for them to sign.
Okay,
They need to
Okay, get it
file an
settled.
RD, they need to file an RDA?
They did.
Oh, they did.
they did. They
Okay,
just didn't schedule this as a public hearing, so we have
Yeah.
to.
You're right.
go through
Yeah.
that.
And Mark did respond, I mean, they sent it, I had them send it to DEP. And
Yeah.
his response was to pull it out of the riverfront. That was
Yes,
all.
yeah,
Oh, well,
I'm
there's-
going on that.
100 feet. That's it, right, okay. Well, Karen and I shall go home, I got one of those 100-foot things, but you
Yeah.
can measure it out, I think
Yeah,
140.
Okay, and then you're fine.
they
Okay.
can use this map and presume that it's close enough and they can measure on the map and figure out where it will fit.
You go from the edge of the river as far as you think that the water might ever go, not come to flood.
It's high water mark, right?
Yes,
I want to work this thing since the dam blew out. No, really.
Well, you have to make it, make,
The house on the I other know, side, but- but it's stone wall, it could be
Yeah.
like 3 feet from the river, now it's like 7 feet down, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I go mow the lawn, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's scary. Are they gonna be rebuilding that dam, you think?
I doubt it.
Then the
No.
river's never gonna flood.
Ted, when you go out there, you can show them where you think the mean annual high water is. You
Yeah,
can look at the wet on the leaves and that sort of stuff and
Yeah.
decide.
yep.
But you can make an educated guess if you're. Yeah.
All right, anything else, Judy?
No,
No? Okay,
Well, why don't we plan that site inspection now?
okay.
Sure. We, evenings are fine for me.
What's good for you guys?
Monday, any Monday. Any day, we get there. Yeah.
Well, and if you're home a lot or gone a lot or whatever,
Said Monday, Monday you have appointments, both have doctor's appointments.
Well, that's why we're, you,
It's Monday, both.
Afternoons are good. Yeah.
Monday afternoon.
Fine, but anyhow.
Any afternoon.
except we-
not much, so. How about next Tuesday? 23rd,
in the afternoon.
what, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
How about Wednesday, Tim? Wednesday,
Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. 4 o'clock
okay, or, well, okay.
Or 3.
Were you looking at 3 o'clock?
we can do 3, we can do 4, we can,
At 4 o'clock on Tuesday, like
Yeah.
later,
Yes.
4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, then we can
We
do
can do that
Tuesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Whatever is better for you. Either one doesn't matter.
Tuesday the 23rd at 4 o'clock,
Sounds good.
sound good?
Or Monday, even at 4 o'clock.
No, I'll do it Tuesday.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
You know where the property is? Yes. Okay. Only thing we did, we parked the car, we can't like block it in the road. Right. Okay.
What's the actual address?
37, the actual address of, post site is 37.
So 37 and the other property is what?
19, that's the property, our house. But it's,
So we're extending today to use callers.
just looking.
Okay. Yeah.
Howlett's Heights. That's what that,
Yeah.
Howlett Heights?
it is the name of that.
Howlett, yeah.
Right.
What time did you say? 4 o'clock, right?
37.
You want 4 or you want 3?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, all right?
all right, we got a long meeting. We gotta move on.
Yep. Okay. They're signing the form.
Okay. And we'll make our minds up and get it done.
What? Oh. Seeing if there's anybody trying to zoom in or not. Oh, who's here? Oh,
So we're done
yeah, we're done. Yeah.
for now.
Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Okay, all right, great. We're gonna go over there. I got one of those 100-foot things, I'll drive station with the 100-foot mark. Where, yeah, where you think. Well, yeah, well, you know, I'm just saying.
So if everything works out at next meeting, a month from now, we'll hope we have the official hearing.
And you can kind of think if you got enough stakes, kind of stake out the corners of the building too. Yeah, the only thing is there's a lot of stuff there. Well, just whatever, it's a flag or something. I think it'd be. I can actually have that. Doesn't have to be exact, it just, yeah.
This is approximate.
Great.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you take my pen?
Huh?
Can we go out this way?
Yeah, you can go out the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll shut- Lock it like.
It'll close. by-
It'll lock on its own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, all right.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, next is.
Wireless? What? No, what?
Are we gonna talk to Laney next, or are you gonna do the Eversource?
What? I'm sorry?
You gonna do the Eversource, or you gonna talk to Laney first?
I don't know if either one of here, who's here? Your Eversource? Okay, you want to do that one next?
Yeah,
Okay.
Come on up and you can step at a microphone.
It's for the recording, that's. If you want to turn the other one on. just push the button.
Yeah, you can both speak into one.
oh, Ted, because, we're gonna vote, you have to, announce all that stuff up at the front.
Well, we're not gonna do it.
I'm gonna be voting remotely. You have to announce all that and get it into the minutes.
On top of page 2, you're talking about?
That's at the top of page 1.
Thank you.
Oh, I already did that. You somehow missed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, good.
We already announced ourselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she couldn't. hear.
just make sure
Oh, that's when
Cindy
you
gets it
couldn't-
in the minutes.
Oh, that's when you couldn't hear.
Yeah, probably.
But
Okay,
anyhow, for the record, Judy, who's normally chair, can't be here. She's on Zoom. So I'm chairing. I'm Ted Ziegert.
Becky Waxman with SWCA Environmental. And I'm Jen Vitaro. And I'm with.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, thank you. But I actually have to call this thing. We are opening a public hearing for Eversource Mill Road to Summers Road gas line extension. They're filed a new RDA of changes and some additional work at the corner of Genevieve Drive. There are stream crossings, at least 3 stream crossings, a perennial stream, mill pond. There is a long line of riverfront along the roadway. There is bank and BVW buffers. There are at least 2 wetlands. So there's a lot that has to be considered in this. Anything else, Judy, before they start?
nope,
Okay,
Thank you. So, we are here for the installation of, with a request for determination of applicability. For the installation of about 2,225 linear feet of 6-inch plastic natural gas main. Within Mill Road, so the work is entirely within the Mill Road paved surface and adjacent maintained shoulders. From Summers Road to Evergreen Terrace. The purpose of the work is to connect, there's existing mains on Summers Road and Evergreen Terrace. Adding this section in will connect those 2 gas mains and increase Eversource's system reliability. So the work is going to be installed almost entirely by conventional trenching methods within the Mill Road. That consists of excavating an approximately 30-inch wide by 58-inch deep trench, laying down the pipe, backfilling, and then repaving the surfaces of the road. There is a crossing of a tributary to the Scantic River that crosses Mill Road. And that is the reason for the RDA that intermittent, or that stream channel rather, has, riverfront area, buffer zones. There is a wetland system, we will be within buffers. I'll get into that more. I'm gonna turn it over to Jen to kind of talk about some of the history, with the Conservation Commission on the project so far.
Yeah, so, it's my understanding that, the engineer that was working on this had hired an environmental consultant to speak to you guys a few months ago.
Yes, you did.
That did not have authorization from Eversource to Town of Hampden because that was a preliminary design and I hadn't seen it yet. So I'm in the environmental licensing department. Anytime I see a design, the process is to look at it and he makes changes based on potential impact to wetland resource areas. So when I saw that original design, I told them, you've got to move that all over the roadway. So those initial conversations were not authorized by us, so which is why this new design is purely in the roadway to limit and avoid all potential resource area impacts.
Aside from that,
Yep.
we've fielded quite a few calls from neighbors, and at least one is here. Worried about, not in our jurisdiction, but since we're the only one holding a hearing, they're calling us, worried about their property. The houses there, their lawns, their driveways, that type of stuff.
Yep.
And
So-
as near as we could tell, you were working in the roadway, which is weird, told them, but
Yep,
they, I'm quite sure, want to hear that you're,
yes, that is confirmed, yes.
one of the butters had just put in a new driveway. It
Yes.
wasn't.
Definitely do not want to make any disruption with that. That is our intent. And she can describe. the
Yeah,
project
so,
in more
so
detail.
the work itself, as I mentioned, it's primarily gonna be installed by conventional trenching methods. There is that crossing of the tributary to the Scantic River. And,
So you can say map sheet 2 of 3.
you'll see that crossing. So originally, there was some different design in this location, Eversource to avoid any impacts at all to that stream channel. So that stream during, field investigation has been dry every time we've been out there, but it does show on the USGS map as a perennial stream channel. And so we are presuming that it's a perennial stream channel, which is why we've come up with this design to avoid it altogether. So to avoid it, we are going to use a trenchless construction method, known as horizontal directional drill. And basically what that involves is you'll have an entry and an exit pit on either side of the stream crossing. So the stream crosses below Mill Road in a bridge underneath the bridge structure. So about 80 feet from either side of that bridge, there's going to be an entry and an exit pit, both within the roadway. An HDD drill rig drills a pilot hole underneath the river or underneath the bridge and river to the exit point. Then there's kind of some successive reams that are done to widen that hole and pathway. Then the pipe is pulled back through that drill hole. So basically what that will do is avoid all impacts to land underwater and bank. There will be work that happens within the 200-foot riverfront area of that stream channel, the 100-foot buffer zone of the wetlands and that the water body on the side of the road that's there as well. That work though will, like I said, be entirely within the paved roadway. So it qualifies as a minor utility buffer zone project under the Wetlands Protection Act, not requiring a notice of intent. We are filing an RDA though, to confirm that, and also because there is work within your local 25-foot buffer. The work within the buffer zone and riverfront area, all the work will include erosion sedimentation controls to protect the adjacent wetlands. So that will consist of installing catch basin inlet protection within the catch basins in the roadway that are expected to receive drainage from the work area. Straw wattles will be used to, prevent the migration of sediment during construction. Eversource is very good. They're contractors about, opening up sections that they can, add the pipe and backfill pretty much within a day for the most part. And they also will be bringing on us on to do weekly environmental compliance inspections. And we provide compliance reports to Eversource into the contractors, making sure that all of those erosion controls are being properly maintained, the good housekeeping methods are being used, and that there aren't any impacts to the wetlands that are occurring as part of the project. After construction is complete, the area will be restored. For the most part, that's just going to consist of repaving the paved surfaces. Where there might be some work required within a maintained shoulder, that area will be, smoothed back to original grade and seeded to ensure. And our compliance inspections continue until restoration is fully complete as well. The work is expected to begin August 8th and is anticipated to last about 42 days.
42 days, is that what you said?
Get anything else to add? I think, open to questions.
42 days, is that what you said?
Yes,
42 days.
42 days, starting August
Okay.
8th.
Yes.
All right. Can you talk a little bit more about the mud? What the mud is like and what's in it?
The mud,
The
The mud for the horizontal drilling?
it consists of a bentonite clay and usually some additional, some additional chemicals, I think, that are added, but they're completely non-toxic. It's approved that, this is used regularly. We have, included in RDA, an HDD contingency plan, that talks about if anything happens where there's a inadvertent return of drilling fluid. Sometimes during these HDD process, there can be a fracture in the bedrock that results in the drilling mud leaking out. Again, the drilling mud is it's a bentonite clay mix that's safe and non-toxic, but we do have measures outlined in the contingency plan for how to address it if it does end up within water and how to address that.
Okay.
you want? You have a question?
My other concern is, we are a town that's had a lot of, heavy rainfall and flooding, and so I want to be really certain about any trenches that are left open that could overflow into, and get dirt into the pond, or, piles of dirt that could be left overnight. So
Did
we
you
want to
get
make
all that?
sure that they get covered up and surrounded with a wattle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of our compliance inspections. We require, if trenches do become filled with water during construction from a rain event, we have measures that Eversource has a best management practices manual that, and I know we included some of the relevant portions in our RDA application from that includes dewatering. So any water that ends up in the trench that needs to be dewatered is dewatered to a well-vegetated upland location, or is contained within a dewatering basin to allow any sediments to settle out before it's allowed to be into a water. And we do monitor that regularly.
Okay, Judy.
Yes, thank you.
A couple generic questions. How big is the vertical? What do you call it? HDD? How big is the vertical that you go down? How much are you opening it? When you're going under the bridge, under the brook? Roughly. Are you talking something that's only a foot or two wide, or are you gonna be something that's 4 foot wide that you can put people in?
And before you go,
Before you go vertically, when you're going horizontally, how big do they get?
So the entry and exit pits.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entry and exit pits.
Yeah.
Roughly. I'm just looking for a ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entry pit is gonna be 6 foot long by 2 feet wide and 3 feet deep. The exit pit is larger, it's 12 feet long, 3 feet wide and 4 feet. And again, that's gonna be within the road.
Okay, only 3 or 4 feet deep to get on,
That goes underneath.
It goes down.
oh, you make a,
Oh.
It curves.
you make a smiley face almost like that, oh, okay, okay. Cause in my brain, you know, not knowing, in my brain, said they gotta go down to
Yeah.
15 feet or something.
They drill those things. They can
We
drill
just
those
went and
things
looked
so
at this the
deep.
other day, so.
You might be also be thinking of the jack and bore method where they have to dig down really deep to jack it through.
Yeah, that's,
So,
yeah.
That's a different kind of trenchless method.
Okay,
once
so-
they're Culverts and streams. Yeah.
okay. I had a couple other questions too, and I lost them. Okay,
did-
you or one of your people would be going once a week?
We go weekly, yeah.
You think that's sufficient?
Yeah, we do that. That's what we do on our projects. And if there are issues, then Jen is always go out more often.
Yeah.
Like if we discover that, maybe there's work that's closer to a sensitive area or there's an air, something that maybe is of concern, we'll go out more frequently, but always once a week.
Once a week is, you think is okay, Judy? This seems like a long gap to me, that's
As
all.
long as they can be called immediately if there's any issues. We would really like to have a number that we can call if somebody sees something that bothers them.
Yeah,
So
you
if
can
you
have a
can give us
contact,
a contact person,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
if you could give us a contact person, hotline number.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
okay. We wrote up some extra conditions there. Ted, do you have a copy
have
of
'em.
those?
do you want one of us to read these, Judy?
Yeah.
Or do you just give them a copy, or do you want us to read them aloud?
Either way, I'd like to know, like, if Tom has any suggestions he'd like to add.
Okay.
anything
I mean,
like that.
I won't read every word, I'll kind of paraphrase them. We've got a rough, we'll see how it goes, but we've already put together some rough conditions. Erosion control barriers must be placed between the work area, wetland resources, or the buffers to avoid any spillage or runoff, and you've kind of mentioned that. Using wattles or whatever. Catch bases must be protected with fabric filters. No work to perform in adjacent resource areas or catch basins, especially during heavy rain. That's pretty much, you mentioned it. Project areas to be repaved or otherwise protected during, especially when we know it's an upcoming rain event or whatever, Work with loose soil should be limited and that it can be either completely covered or restored within a day. Do you normally protect your stuff per day, or do you leave long piles, stockpiles?
No, they don't usually leave stockpiles, for extended periods, but we do tell them to keep them out of buffer zones.
Yeah. Because
And surround them with water.
we would like them covered, either surrounded with wattles and or covered.
Yep. Yep.
Especially if you've got, if it's middle of summer, we may go 2 weeks without a drop of rain, or it could be the worst happens and you get these severe thunderstorms that
Yeah.
you get an inch of rain in an hour and, yeah.
Yep.
And this goes back to what I said about coming once a week. Erosion control should be inspected on a regular basis and checked.
I like to comment on that too. We do have the contractors inspecting them daily as well, and
Okay.
they're just our
Oh, okay.
degree of like added.
Okay, so the contractor is somewhat self-responsible?
Yep.
Okay,
We actually give the contractor a training program before the work starts, and we walk them through all of the conditions of the permits, Eversource's BMP manual, and just kind of all the things that we expect that they be doing. And that includes requiring that they be inspecting and maintaining their erosion control on a daily basis.
okay. Are they regular contractors you use, or is this,
They don't have a contractor yet awarded.
Oh,
for
okay,
this,
okay.
But they have a list of them that they always use. So
that are
usually-
kind of your approved?
Yes.
You're not taking,
Vendors.
you're not taking Tom, Dick, or Harry from,
Yeah.
you're generally working with people you work with all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, Okay. Next one here, in the event that the trenching dewatering is necessary, water is to be pumped from the evacuation pits and to a dewatering container or area. Under no circumstances will the trench water or other turbulent water be discharged into a wetland. You pretty much covered that. Since the gas pipeline is underground, there's a presumption there will be no permanent alteration to the landscape, but you mentioned that you may get into some of the side road buffering, right?
The shoulder.
The shoulder buffering, yeah,
We
yeah.
don't expect that there's gonna be any, vegetation, shrub clearing or anything, and this, the maintained shoulder area.
Yeah. But we would assume that all these non-paved areas would be totally replaced, sod replaced or seeded. Any plantings that you've dug up, you replace with something. I mean, a lot of it may be not nice plantings,
Yeah.
but they're holding the shoulders together. Because if you walk that, I assume you have, some of that road drops real quick when you're not near the houses. So that even that rough vegetation is holding that bank, so the road doesn't give in from erosion. So if you have to take some of that out, you have to put something back that's going to hold it.
Yes, we always stabilize that.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Anything else, Judy?
No, Tom?
Can I add one thing?
Sure, sure.
The one thing my condition that might be beneficial to have a small edit to the catch basin one with filter fabric, or as otherwise approved by the commission. If something like that can be added, so we do run into every once in a while, the town highway department or DPW having concerns about the filter fabric in the catch basins, resulting in flooding in the roads. And
Because they don't drain quick enough. What
Oh,
do you-
yeah,
so sometimes it's helpful to just have a little bit of wiggle room in the condition so that if the DPW wants something else or has, wants. Yeah. to
Yep.
Have someone
okay,
can come back and ask for.
You
permission from
agree with
us.
that, Judy?
yes,
Fabric or whatever is appropriate for the circumstance, or some wording of that case.
yeah, something agreed to by DPW.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a DPW approved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
So that's number
pardon?
two, right?
Yeah, I have a different write-up than you have,
Mm.
but it's the catch basin. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. What else, ladies? Anything else?
No?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure, please do. Help us.
Over here, turn that one on.
We really could use another.
This is
Mr.
Gary coming up.
For the record, Gary Weiner, 53 Mill Road, where Jackson Pit is going to be right in front of my house. How long do you anticipate that to be open?
I think it might be a couple weeks that they're doing that.
So you'll be closing half that road down.
I'm not exactly sure about the closing of that part, but I can 100% get you in touch with the people that are responsible for that. I can take your information and we can coordinate, whatever needs to happen with that. I know that they do reach out to the neighbors, whenever they're doing this stuff, to make sure it's all coordinated.
I assume that's a blind pipe, meaning you're not going to be tapping any of the connections that we now have. Because
No.
there's I think it's a 2.5
Yeah.
3-inch line on the south side, so
Mhm.
we're all connected in. This is gonna be basically the service evergreen and connect the loop.
Yep, it's connected. Yeah.
I guess my biggest question to you, first, that's not a perennial stream by any stretch of anybody's imagination.
Right. Every time we
Um,
hang out.
It's actually a Doug Champ. It was
Yeah.
dug for the grist mill that's down at Christmas Lane. And in the 1800s, it did run. It probably was a perennial tributary. It's, if it runs once a year, it's we're all very nervous. But,
It's basically a scannic overflow.
it's an
Yeah.
old-
Generally.
Stormwater control basically for the downstream areas. But in any case, my main question is, did your engineer look at that culvert? It's not a bridge, it's a culvert.
Yes, yeah, they did look at that, and they designed it so that they would have no impact and that they're far away enough that they're not going to impact that culvert.
I think you should check with the highway superintendent.
I'm definitely, before they do anything, they always have to get,
We were hoping they'd be here today.
Yeah.
Well, if your engineers had walked through, I think they would have probably moved the pits even further. Only from the standpoint that that culvert's about 100 years old. It's a dirt bottom. And basically it's a half pipe, if you will, set on concrete foundations. The west side of the concrete foundation is undermined by flood. And the east side is broken off on the interior. And so you're jacking, shouldn't, but could conceivably have an issue with vibration of pushing that pipe, worsening the situation that's there now. So I don't know whether you, in your conditions, you might want to just make reference that they need to talk with the highway superintendent about the culvert condition. The ground's fine.
Yep.
According to Tom. So
yep, that's fair.
we'd love them to tell
Even for this total amateur, when we were there, Tom and I were there, if you look at the entrance in a few places, it's just, at least superficially, it's just stone
Yeah.
stacked up, and some of those are dislodged near the base. So you can see that it maybe wouldn't take too much
Mhm.
to cause a problem, not only for us, but for you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
And the other
So there would be a condition that says they need to
hold on,
consult
excuse me.
with highway.
I'm sorry, Judy, I didn't hear you.
I said, so what he's asking for as a condition is that they would consult with highway before they make their final plans.
Yes,
Okay,
she agrees.
Are you messing with the cathodic protection that's over there?
let's see, with the existing,
What is it?
There's, the gas company has cathodic protection on, or did on the line.
Yeah.
That service box that you see on that north side, which is the same side that you're gonna be running the pipe down, has lines that run to the bags, cathodic protection bags in the pond. And I'm guessing they're not very deep, so. I didn't know whether you.
Can you explain? I don't know what those are.
So cathodic protection is a way of minimizing corrosion on a pipe. So
It'll seal
electrodes are used and usually it's done within wetlands because the water helps.
Okay, so is that what that single little pole stand is with the meters? We couldn't figure out what that was. So what is this? Ah,
And honestly, in the last 6 months, the people have been there way more often than I've ever seen them before, probably once a week, taking readings. So that's why I was asking the question, whether at this point in time, you're coordinating, maybe there's an issue there.
they didn't say anything to me about that as part of this project, but it's probably another reason for this project and why they need to do this as a reliability project. But I can 100% check with them on that too. I'll mention the culvert to them, which will be in the conditions, but about opening those entry and exit pits in front of your house. Did you say, I'm not sure which one is which, but one of the pits.
It will be the easterly side.
So which house are you at?
53.
53, okay. And I'll make sure that they get in touch with you about that, and then I can tell them that you're also wondering about that protection.
Yeah, that's.
Curious.
That's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we've known about it for years and
Yeah.
years.
I'm sure they know about it, I'm just not sure, because I'm the environmental permitting person, so I can definitely ask them that.
And as I say, that pit's open for weeks.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need police protection there for a long.
Yeah.
Because you'll have to go down one lane. If I were to then go.
It's already. Yeah, I know.
Well, the way they come through there with that
Yeah.
S is
Yeah.
scary,
Mm.
but anyway.
Anything else, Gary? You're,
Yeah.
we can use your expertise.
Try to build pond out
We
here.
can use your expertise.
They used to put rowboats out there on the pond. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Judy,
Yes,
anything, ma'am?
no, I think it's, if we add those conditions that they'll check up with those two groups of people, that will be good. Are people ready to vote?
Yeah,
you feel
any other
comfortable?
questions?
So you want the commission to vote with the added conditions?
Yes,
Yeah, the three of us? Yeah.
We don't have a quorum, Judy.
we have Ted and me
We have
Good.
three.
and Tom.
We have Tom, Ted, and you.
Is that considered a quorum?
Well, it is now if we haven't had Greg in so long, I don't,
No,
Yeah.
and Andrew, Cindy called Andrew and he's not coming.
yeah, so
And we know John is in school.
I think it's a quorum of the possible quorums.
All right, so we'll call it a quorum?
Mhm.
Okay,
So have you got there?
I have the second one. Cindy probably wrote the first one because she's taking notes about the fabric.
Oh, the fabric, yeah, have case in the filter fabric, whatever appropriate. Approved by DPW. To things to condition number two, it gives a condition number two that you have, that a different order on his.
So which one will this be, Judy?
Okay. For number two here, I have catch basins must be protected with filter fabric or barriers to ensure that sediments do not enter the drainage system.
Right, so that's, yeah, so number two, and that's gotta be approved by DPW.
Okay,
They should consult with the director.
so that's it. This must be approved by DEW.
Yeah, well, wasn't it,
They have to do a.
Alternatives approved by
Or-
DPW.
fabric, filter fabric or other alternatives as approved by
Right, so, yeah,
DEP?
Yeah,
consult with DEP, with, DPW. Well.
Yeah.
to meet with the highway super as well.
Yep. So we want to add
Okay,
that,
so catch basins must be protected with filter fabric or other alternatives.
as approved by DEP.
Okay. And then to ensure that sediments do not enter the drainage
yeah.
system. Okay. And that is approved.
Should we put that they check with DEP as a condition?
DPW.
DPW.
DPW,
I know what I meant, but,
I didn't.
Yes.
so we want that on there. Okay, another condition that
All
they,
right, so there's your, we can just change condition to catch basins must be protected with filter fabric or
other
other
alternatives.
alternatives as approved by DPW to ensure that sediments do not enter the drainage system.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
The second one was to talk to Mark about the condition of the culvert when making the final plan. Is that about it?
Yeah.
Mark is our guy.
Yeah. Highway super,
Our engineer.
Yeah, so it's just the two things?
Well, wasn't he also concerned about the lines he said that ran to the compression bags?
Oh, yeah.
So
The,
it's not just about the condition of the culvert, but it's about the other equipment that might be in there.
Oh, that's not part of this main install, though.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Oh, okay,
that's
Okay.
the existing thing.
alrighty,
That was a concern by him to alert them. That was a concern by Gary to alert them. It's not
separate,
actually a
okay,
piece of the project.
alrighty,
Okay, okay.
thanks.
The highway superintendent in regard to the. culvert,
Mhm.
Yeah, she's got it on there. Okay,
consult with her.
all right, what am I reading?
were you reading that, you're gonna put out there that, the commission, first of all, you have to say if indeed you approve the order, the, determination as amended.
Yeah.
And then you read the two.
WP Form 2, determination of applicability for Eversource Gas for the 2023 Mill Road Reliability Project. And we are going with,
We issued,
which one here?
we issued this one.
Here.
Number 6.
Number 6, how come 5 check?
Well, we did them both. All right, start with 5.
Okay,
The area, let me read it.
so we're doing a negative determination.
Mhm.
And number 5, the area described in the request is subject to protection under the act since the work described herein meets the requirements for the following exemptions as specified in the act and the regulations.
No
So
notice of intent.
with no notice of intent is required.
Mhm.
Okay.
And these are the exemptions.
You want to read all the exemptions? Okay, the WPA exemptions, 310 CMR 10.021, 10.022 B2, 310 CMR 10.022 B1, 310 CMR 10.582, utility lines in existence as of August 7th, 1996 are exempt under the River Protection Act.
Okay, and then this one.
And then number 6, the area and or work described in the request is not subject to review or and approved by the Hampden, Massachusetts. Hampden, Mass. Wetland Protection Bylaws, Section 3. And that is all done in addition to all the additional conditions we added. Judy?
And they're not automatically exempt from the no disturb zone. So we have to specifically vote that we will waive that is no disturb and we'll allow them to disturb it.
Where are you?
It goes under the municipal part.
Oh, okay.
We have to waive the no disturb zone condition because they're not automatically exempt.
Okay. So just in addition to what I read, we are going to waive the no disturb zone. exception.
Right.
Okay. So I read it all. I have to read it again, do I?
Now,
Tom is seconding. All in favor?
I'm
Aye.
voting remotely. I voted aye.
Thank you.
You're gonna send that to me, right? So I can figure out.
I'm gonna give it.
Anything else we need to do on this, Judy?
No, that you can send it to me and I'll put an electronic signature on it
Okay.
when it's ready.
There's nothing else by anybody. I'll close the hearing. Correct, Judy?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. No one else has to speak. I'll close the hearing at 7:11 on Wednesday, the 17th for the Mill Road Gas Line Project.
Thanks very much.
I will send us out certified mail as soon as I get to it.
Can you send it to, with the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you take our office?
Yeah.
I
don't know when I-
oh, GZA office? FW, right,
Yeah,
right.
the representative.
Okay, yeah, I got it right here. I will.
Okay, Thank you very much.
You might
Thank-
not get it till, no, you won't get it till next week.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
You must be Miss Wilder. Come on up.
Okay, this is on the Emerald Forest Borderlands project. For a couple pieces of property on South Road and Chapin Road,
Mm-hmm,
is that correct?
yes.
So let her start, Judy.
Yes,
Go ahead, ma'am.
please do.
I'm sorry.
Should I introduce myself?
Yo, yes, yeah. Introduce yourself, make a little presentation.
Sure. My name is Lainey Wilder. I'm with, Oregon Land Trust. I'm the new executive director. I took over for Ed Hood about 2 years ago, and Ed Hood originally applied for this Emerald Forest Borderlands, Forest Lakes Program grant. And, the way this grant works is putting a conservation restriction on, private owner properties. And we've applied and had 9 landowners, and 2 of them are in Pennsylvania. And, so as it says, off of Chapin Road and off of South Road, there's 2 large parcels and they actually butt each other, which is really great for conservation. And the way this works. is-
Anybody hasn't seen it, it's like this.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So, with this program, it's asking that the town holds the conservation restriction, which is usually under the jurisdiction of the conservation commission to, do the CR and, follow up on it, and do annual monitoring of that, all of which, since we are facilitating this grant, we're happy to, provide you any, for example, our guidelines on how we monitor CRs or any advice or help in that way, with the CRs. And, one property will stay in private hands, the one off the South Road, Mr. Morton's property. He's planning to keep that. The other property off of Chapin Road, once we complete this Forest Legacy Program grant, which there's a lot of due diligence we have to do. We've done a title search already. I've written a CR and having you guys do that, look that over and ask any questions, I can answer. Or if I can't, I'll talk to Forest Legacy on any questions you may have on the CR, but once we complete that with the McKenzie family, who owns the property off the Chapin Road, they are going to then bargain sale the land to Opakam Land Trust. So it would be
Who?
to
Opakam.
Opakam Land Trust. So that's kind of phase 2 with this.
what's
And
bargain
one
sale?
thing to, I'm sorry?
Did you say bargain sale?
Yeah, bargain sale. So they, through this grant, the landowners are being paid for up to 75% of the value of the conservation restriction on their land. So, and that would be coming through the town, since the town would be holding the conservation restriction. That money is coming from the Forest Legacy Program through the town and then to the landowners. So once I, after talking with you guys, I have to talk to a select board.
Mhm.
I know it's like select council, it's different in every.
Yeah, we have a board of selectmen, right?
Board of Selectmen, okay.
Yep.
Talk to Board of Selection or pass this along to them to review and let me know if they have any questions and if the town attorney would have any questions on that. And then that will happen when we get further along on the process of this. Right now, we still need to get the basal and a couple other aspects of this grant program. So, but I was hoping tonight to be available to answer any questions you may have on the conservation restrictions. I know they can be complicated documents, or at least look complicated because we have to track all the changes per the state requires that. So, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have on conservation restrictions or on this project, or I'm happy to go through anything. And one thing I was, wanted to talk to you guys about is that we are seeking some additional funding because we have to find some match funding for Forest Legacy Program grant, and we were looking at grants through the mitigation grant. that is through the state, but I believe the Nature Conservancy is helping to disperse those grant funds. And our contact Maria mentioned that the town had gotten a mitigation grant a couple years ago for the Westbrook Morton project in 2020. So, with this project, because the town will be holding the CR, we want to utilize some of the funding for that mitigation, with the turtles. It would have to be the town applying for that grant, which we've actually filled out most of the grant already. That would work, with the Forest Legacy Program. So I just wanted to ask you guys about that process, and seeing that you've done that grant before. And would you be willing to be able to get a little more funds to then put towards this grant, towards the Forest Legacy Program with the mitigation funds? And we can absolutely do the most of the work on filling out that grant, helping in that aspect. But for the one parcel, it would have to be the town submitting that proposal, and not the land trust. But then for the Mackenzie parcel, it could be Opeka submitting that, just to get some additional mitigation funding. Sorry, that was a lot. So
Yeah,
I-
it was.
Couple things, approximately when you think this will happen? A year from now?
So
I know it's tough, but just
Yeah.
ballpark.
I'm hoping in the next year or two to.
Okay, so it's a year or two out.
Yeah.
Okay. How often does a property have to be inspected
Well, usually.
in general,
In general, it's good practice to inspect it annually.
annually?
These are large properties. For example, the Chapin Road one I know is 115 acres, and there's Rattlesnake Mountain is the boundary between the two. So, you know, and generally you would want to walk the boundaries. However, since they'd be abutting each other, it's very unlikely any.
Between the two would happen.
or anything ever would happen. You just may want to,
What's the total acreage,
so for the.
roughly?
There's two different parcels, so the Mackenzie parcel off of Chapin Road is 115, and then Mr. Morton's parcel, I know it's at least 115, I think it's actually a little bit bigger than the Mackenzie parcel, but I'm not entirely sure the size of that. Offhand.
Okay,
So do these parcels get like posted with signs, or are they just open for anyone to, like, does the Opeka Trust or the Forest Project put up signs saying that this is under a conservation restriction, no motorized vehicles, no hunting, any of that?
So for the one parcel, when it's by Opeka Land Trust, we will definitely mark the boundaries and put up some signage. We actually would like to have some trails on the property there, which in order for us to put trails on, we would have to talk to you guys and say, hey, here's our proposal for some trails. What do you guys think? As a CR holder, you would look at that and make sure it fits within the language of the CR. And with Forest Legacy, they do allow, trails and public access. So at least on the Mackenzie parcel, we will absolutely do that. With the Morton parcel, it'll be still held by a private landowner. I'm not sure if the Forest Legacy Program requires that there be boundary markers for conservation restriction. And I know in other towns, the town does create their own placards and mark the boundaries. So for example, Munson, the town of Munson owns a lot of conservation restrictions or land. So they would mark the boundaries, and they partnered with Opeka in the past where we helped with that, but so we definitely would want the boundaries marked so that you can make sure you know where those are, and depending on what the Forest Legacy Program would allow, we may be able to get a survey and have pins put in to help with that. But it just depends on if in the deeds, if the properties are well described, they may not require a survey, and surveys are really expensive these days.
They are.
Saying how expensive they are, and they may not want to put like $40,000 towards a survey if the property is well described. But I can say at least for the one parcel, we would absolutely want to make sure the boundaries are marked well. For Mr. Morton, the second parcel, ideally, we'd like, it would make sense. But that would be something the town as a CR holder would have to, go through. Yeah.
Who's Oakham? Who's Oakham?
Oh, Opakam?
I thought it was Oakham. I'm hard of hearing. It's Opakam?
Yeah, Opakam Land Trust. So, I brought some brochures that talk about who we are, but, so we were named after the marbled salamander, which its scientific name is Amstomia opakam. So Opakam Land Trust, is named after that marbled salamander because our first property and project that we did was because the salamander, which is, threatened in Massachusetts, was discovered on this property and helped to conserve it. So we named ourselves after the animal that conserved the first property. I know it's a bit abstract because it's the scientific name of this little
Oh,
critter.
I just know. So
Yeah.
where do you operate?
Our office is in Brimfield, but we operate in 13 towns in the region, and we included, these parcels in this grant application, because they were such wonderful parcels of land. They connect to other protected land, and have a lot of acreage, which all really fits into what we look for in trying to protect, land.
Are you Massachusetts only?
Yes.
Okay.
So we do, I believe we acquired a property, my understanding is the boundary of Massachusetts and Connecticut was redrawn at one point, so we do have one property, majority in Massachusetts, but there's like 5 acres in Connecticut, so.
You're basically in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Judy,
Yes.
and questions?
Oh, yeah, is there any stewardship funding for doing
Stewardship
that?
funding?
Yes, the reviews, annual reviews.
I don't think we have any that's planned in with this, grant. It handles a lot of the transactional costs and then paying the landowner. So, we could look into, I'm trying to think if there's, some grant opportunities or other ways to get stewardship funding, but as of now, we don't have any, and usually when Opakam takes on a conservation restriction on property and fee, we try to either fundraise for stewardship, or we find a grant that can help us have some stewardship funding to care for the.
Mm.
That's a very fair question, because we do the same.
Yeah,
thing.
usually we've gotten a little chunk of money that comes with it that we set aside. Since none of us are really experts, we often hire a guy to do inspections for us to make sure we get all the information correct.
Gotcha.
And he's not expensive, but the Conservation Commission operates on about $3,000 a year total. So it's very small.
The private owner, Morton, you said,
Yeah, Russ Morton.
what's he allowed to do or not allowed to do on his piece then?
So within the conservation restriction, and I printed out a copy each, I can kind of go through this. There is permitted acts and uses and prohibited acts and uses outlined here. Some of the prohibited acts and uses include things like building structures. So essentially, a conservation restriction is the development rights of the property. So there can't be any major alterations to the property, like building structures, paving, so extracting like minerals or gravel from the property.
So-
disposal.
What about forestry?
Forestry?
Yeah, he specifically can do forestry.
What was that?
He
She just saying
specifically
forestry
can
going
do
on.
forestry.
Absolutely, and the Forest Legacy Program, because it's funneled through, so it's a federally, the funds come from federal Forest Service and then go to PCR and then through the town and to the landowner, or from Forest Legacy level, the state level at DCR, to Opakam to reimburse us for paying for some of the due diligence costs, like a title search or survey or baseline documentation report. We will also be getting one of those so that you know the condition of the property when you accept the CR. So that's really helpful in monitoring for sure.
No major development, but he can do forestry. What about farming or animal keeping, that type of thing.
So with the Forest Legacy Program, at least 75% of the property needs to remain as a forest. So technically, and I think in this CR, I removed agricultural activities because there isn't any. current
Yes, you did.
activities, so we wouldn't, if the landowner in the future thought maybe I wanted to do something, then we would write that into the CR, but my understanding is neither of these landowners are interested in it, so we're omitting that.
Mhm.
But there are examples of CRs that do permit, agriculture. For example, Opakam owns a property in Southbridge where the majority of it's forested, but then along the road, there's hay fields that we are allowing a local farmer to continue to use. So, and that's going into, that is also part of this, grant program that we're putting a CR on that, and therefore we have a lot more language we have to think about with agricultural activities. So Forest Legacy does allow forestry. They have some, just to swing back to that, they do have some restrictions of types of, how much wood can be removed, but it's outlined in the CR. So if there was ever, if a landowner did want to do a timber cut, you would have to reference this and see, okay, let's make sure we're following the guidelines of this conservation restriction. He doesn't just clear cut.
The only reason I asked, I had a place I had gone out by the Cape, it was, and I don't know anything about the circumstances.
Yeah.
But it was signed that it was protected land, but there was an active cranberry bog. So I'm assuming some allowance was made for, big quotes around farming. In this case, they were allowing cranberry bog in a protected area that was still functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may have been just because of, well, I'm not sure on the Cape.
And I don't know either, I know nothing about it, but there was very obvious sign this is protected land, but there's an active cranberry bog in it,
Yeah,
So.
definitely, and it can be a little confusing with conservation land, if you think more of leaving it wild, but there are, some allowances for agriculture. And, there are other programs that to support agricultural activities similar to conservation restrictions as well, so.
And I'm not against it, I just thought, oh, hey, cool, it's protected, but they're, there's still.
Yeah, definitely.
When I was reading it, I noticed that it was kind of iffy about horseback riding. In one place it said no horseback riding, another place it said it could possibly have horseback riding.
Oh, horseback, it took me a second.
Yes,
Horseback. Sorry,
that was especially on the Morton.
I got my
property,
ears
I think.
turned up and I'm still having trouble with some of the words.
Yeah. These CRs can be crafted to fit what the landowner would like.
Mm.
For example, if the landowner didn't want horses allowed on their property, they could certainly write that into the CR and say no horseback riding. So I can look through these again and double check, and I can double check with the landowners to see, because sometimes the CRs can be a little confusing because they first list out all the stuff you can't do, and then.
Yeah,
And then, but you can actually do this, but you can do this, or you
it was mostly curiosity because some of our properties that are mitigation properties, they're not allowed to have horses because of the turtles.
But on the
So-
other hand, we do have a lot of horse owners in town.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's actually
No,
a.
it's
what do you
it's
call
just a
horse owner?
curiosity question.
Kansas
Huh?
Valley Riders.
Yeah, they actually meet downstairs periodically. Yeah,
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Hundred mile enduro goes right through it.
Yeah,
The what?
In one of the properties, there's 100-mile enduro that goes right through it.
Oh,
I bought it.
oh, okay. So I didn't even realize that.
Oh, it's motorcycles and,
Oh,
no, it's once a year, there's 100, they do 100, it's all flagged out, they go in, they cut.
Oh, which,
It was on my property and we moved them off our property.
Can you hear him, Judy?
just barely. I
Yeah.
can't really hear what
Move
Cindy's
your
saying.
mic a little closer, Judy's having a hard time.
Sorry, Judy, I just said that on the Mackenzie property, there's 100-mile enduro path for the motorcycles that goes through once a year.
Hmm.
It used to be on our property and when we took over, there were some issues where we had our property surveyed. and the riders came through and took down all our flags and used them to mark their trail.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so they use them to mark their trail, so we're like, no more, you're done.
Yeah.
So I know the Mackenzies don't live in town, they live in Wayland.
Mhm. So, yeah, but they moved the trail over onto their property.
Okay, is there a contact for that group? Because
I
I
can find
don't think we would wanna,
Yeah, I know.
No.
we don't really want motorized vehicles.
You can't really do that with turtles and
Yeah,
that won't survive.
We try to get mitigation funding with turtles, we absolutely.
Do you have endangered species there? Do you know?
So
Yes,
Yeah.
there, it's mapped that there's habitat there. I can't
Right,
think
but
where-
is there? That's
I don't know, I haven't actually been out there with the state herpetologist to confirm, but it's been mapped as turtle habitat,
Okay.
so we would qualify to apply for the mitigation grants. And then I think, once we apply, then they would have the state herpetologist go out and confirm that, okay, yep, this is turtle habitat, or confirm that there are turtles out there, and then go forward with the grant. I haven't actually applied for one of these mitigation grants, and Maria, who helps to, from the Nature Conservancy, do these grants, she said that the town had, so I was like, oh, maybe you guys might know a little bit more about applying for these grants, but you're right, it does have, there has to be some verification that either the habitat or the turtles are there, for us to qualify for the grant. But yeah, I'm like a little worried about the motorcycles, because I had no idea that they were out there, and I don't think the landowners knew either.
I don't think so. The path comes right out. And it
Does that go through the Morton property as well?
goes up and over.
It goes up and
Goes
over?
up and over.
yeah. And they really should be restricted on both properties, so,
They
Yeah.
go- there's some 100-mile thing. They come out, and after they come out, they go up towards Connecticut, and then I think they drop back down to Rockadundy, and then they shoot out that way, but I don't know if they're coming up off of some of the properties off of South Road. But they flag the whole thing out. I don't,
I'm not, I mean, I've been talking with them and working through the conservation restriction with them, and one of the things is no motorized vehicles in the conservation restriction, so I don't think they know that.
there's a pretty clear path. That's why I
Okay.
asked about, was there gonna be signage put up?
No, and that makes more of an important reason that there should be signage put out there, so,
The,
yeah.
Yeah,
the
they pay
problem
attention to
is,
it.
most of those people ignore signs. I have property back of me, 100 acres that splits between Hampden and Wilbraham. And there's vehicles out there all the time.
Yeah, enforcement with those can be tricky, and it may end up, if they become a huge problem, it may be that their access roads on Chapin put a gate up. Or if it was on the property that was legal, then we would want to put a gate up so they couldn't access that anymore. If they don't cooperate and it's following posted signs or the no motorized vehicle signs. That's the best way I can think of in trying to manage something like that, especially, if it is conservation land and there's not somebody always out there monitoring it, so, yeah, definitely it can be a challenge, and, no.
So are you in contact with that family?
Yeah, I've been in touch with both the Mackenzie family, and the Morton,
And Russ?
in Russ Morton, yep, on moving forward on. this.
Yeah. I'd be curious, if you bring that up to see if they even, yeah, Russ
Yeah.
probably knows, but I don't know about the other family.
I'll certainly ask if they were aware of this. I don't think they were, because the Mackenzie family, when I was drafting the CR and just talking with them about, okay, what are some of the things we want to include in this?
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we wanted no motorized vehicles. They very much would like it to be, a wild place, but allow some trails for hiking and walking
Yeah.
and whatnot, but to.
Passive
Yeah,
recreation.
passive recreation.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I do not think they do that, so. I'm fine and certainly checking and let them know.
Mm.
Maybe.
so Leanne, are you still planning on buying the McKinsey property afterwards?
Yes, that's still the plan with Opega. Yep.
Good, I like that idea.
Good. I'm glad.
Anything else, Judy?
I did read through both of these. They're long. They're very long. No,
Yeah,
I think that was all the things I had specific questions about.
And there's nothing here to vote on, right? This is just a general discussion, correct, Judy?
Yeah, they're not, they have to, she has to get the wording all finalized and everything before
Yeah.
we can vote on it.
Yeah.
And then we have to make a motion and vote on it, and the select board has to do the same thing.
Okay,
correct, yep, so I'll have to get signatures both from you guys and from the select board when this is finalized, from the state. And
a year from now,
what?
a year from now.
Yeah. Our hope is we would like to try to finish these by the end of this year, but I really am not sure if we'll make it. So just because I have, the properties I'm managing to go through this grant as well. So, yeah, we can say in about a year, like to be back to have signatures done and complete this, grant process. So, yeah, but I just want to make sure you guys had a chance now before we move forward with the appraisal and whatnot to view them, ask any questions, clarifications or anything like that. And I'm happy, if you go home tonight and you're like, oh, I was wondering this, send me an email. I'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions or thoughts or comments or anything. Or if you notice the 100-mile folks out there riding.
Yes.
Stuff.
Everybody did get emailed copies of the CRs along with there's some short descriptions and some other materials that were really interesting. I think Bonnie mailed it out almost a month ago now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you get a chance, do try to scan through them. It's
I'm
very
sorry?
helpful.
The last thing?
You
I didn't
should
get your
try to
last one.
scan through them. Try to read them.
Yeah, oh, I tried.
I have one page, I had emailed and I forgot to print them out with you today, one page, just kind of overview descriptions of each CR and each property. So I apologize, I forgot to bring those, and thank you for letting me come tonight, and I'm sorry for missing last month, but I was. very
No,
sick
it's-
from it, so
Oh, I'm glad you're well.
spread around, so, yeah.
Is there ever a chance, before this is finalized even to, maybe we could organize it and have like a, public, more of a, maybe advertise it more so that there'd actually be people here that, may want to ask questions about it, or, it's such a great area and it would be nice to have more people aware. And also, there's a lot of people in this town that own large chunks of land
Yeah.
who are getting to the point that they have to do something.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if more people were aware of these conservation restrictions and other things they can do with their land rather than sell it to a developer.
Yeah, definitely. And we can certainly, I can, talk about Forest Legacy, or what I did with Southbridge is I went to separately, as a Waukegan Land Trust, went to Southbridge Conservation Commission meeting for a special meeting on conservation restrictions, and conservation options. So and we had a good group of people attend that to learn more
Yeah,
about, what you can do with your land if you want to protect it or conserve it.
yeah,
So I'd be happy to come back and do that.
yeah, within a
Actually-
few months, because where my office is, the senior center, once a month, they roll out a newsletter. And I think even in the senior center newsletter would be a perfect spot just to have a little blip, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
sure.
about,
Yeah.
some kind of a
Yeah.
presentation and this and that and this and that.
And
You know,
it
not-
goes
not-
back to the town, whether you're
But
seeing.
Bonnie, I do think it's better if it's not tangled up with the CR itself, because the CR and all the wording and everything is a very complicated part of it,
Yeah.
It took us a year to do that for Mount Vision too. But I think to have a meeting where people can come and ask questions about conservation restrictions in general and how
Right.
they can get grants and all of that.
Right, that's what I was talking about,
Yeah,
not,
that would
all
be
no, you don't want to
Not the
delve
legal,
into all
not the legal.
good. No, you'll just
But-
scare them off.
What did you think of that idea, Judy?
I like it.
Yeah, I think, and I think that I can put a little blip in this, see, the
Yeah,
Scantic
sure.
Scribe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a few months from now, you know, because summer's real busy anyway, maybe in the
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah, and maybe, we can reach out with Minichog Land Trust and see if they, because I know they own some conservation.
Yeah.
restrictions in town, so I'd be happy to kind of work with them, so. They both say, hey, here are options,
Yeah,
that you have, the conservation restriction, you can donate, you know, there's chapter 61, or there's many options, and we have a bunch of materials in my office that I'm just happy to hand out to people to learn
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
let's-
sure the board would go for that. They would like that.
Yeah.
She didn't hear what Judy
Oh,
said.
she just saying we should try to do things like that more.
Yeah, so,
Sure.
Or
yeah, and I'll be in contact with you, you know, in a few months and, you know, and Judy has contacts with the land trust and see what we can get together for the fall.
yeah, that'd be great. I'm always trying to reach out and let people know that there are other options than going to a developer.
Right.
Any last questions, Judy?
I don't think so, but I have her email. I can always send her a question.
Yep, shoot me an email anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments or thoughts on this. And I actually I know I emailed them out, but I brought the conservation restriction landowner handbook from the Forest Lakes program. These are just like, they're nicer than looking on the computer, so.
Mhm.
These we give to the landowners, and it's just really in very.
That was included in all the stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Want like the actual booklet.
Yeah, sure.
And then I can leave,
Yeah, if you leave a couple, yeah, just for,
yeah, and yeah, feel free to.
any other questions here? We're done?
Well, with this part, I think
Yeah,
we
well,
have a
that's what I
couple
mean,
other
with this
things to
part.
talk about. Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
we thank you for your time.
And
Thank you, Lainey.
you get home before dark.
Are you in Brimfield yourself?
Yeah, I actually live in Brimfield.
Oh, okay.
I lived there 2 years ago, and
Oh, you must love certain 3 times a year or something, huh? Because you just had one, right? Didn't you last?
last week, like, the experience, Brimfield during the pandemic. so
Oh, okay.
happening, So it was. a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
we're going to discuss these other issues.
Yeah, we have what, 3 or
Yeah,
4?
they'll be,
First one is
they'll be
30,
quick.
yeah, they're quick. One is 33 sessions where they're tree cutting in the no disturb zone.
Yes, and, oh, I didn't bring it. Oh, yes, I did. I, sent out a, letter today that, I can't even remember. I was so busy. I don't know if I just sent it to you and Judy or to the whole commission. A violation letter pretty much, that we've been made aware of activities on the property, including clearing of trees and vegetation within map resource areas, blah, 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 blah. And, then I mentioned that Judy had told Tiffany, February 27th, that, you know, when she wants to do any work on the property within any of the resource areas, that she has to file a request for determination. Anyway, Tiffany's boyfriend, I guess, he lives at the house, called me right after I sent him the letter, like right after, 5 minutes after. And he was very apologetic. And he is going to be filing a request for determination. They do plan to put the shed in. So I told him that in his request to make sure he puts exactly where he wants the shed to go, and that we'll do a site inspection beforehand on that. And right now the shed is in storage somewhere. And he said that they had an arborist come to their house before the tree cutting, and the arborist looked at the trees that were cut. And he told them that they were very dangerous and that some of them were pretty sick. And if they didn't come down, they could come down on their own and hit the house. So that's why they had the trees.
Yeah.
That's his story.
I understand that, but they still
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to.
We need to explain to them that asking for permission doesn't mean that we'll say no. It just means we'll tell them how to do it so that they don't get in trouble.
Right, he knows.
Do they know that, I'm also worried about them trying to grind the stumps down.
They're not gonna do anything
Okay,
right now
okay.
till they come before us. And they plan, if he gets everything back to me, they'll be in our June 21st meeting.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Bonnie.
If you're looking at the driveway, are you looking at the property in the driveway?
It's right on the edge.
It's from the driveway north, if you're looking at the house, everything to the right side of the driveway
Yeah.
is,
It's all wet.
oh yeah, very much so. When it rains hard,
That's that Daily Farm at the back.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Here's an extra map.
Basically, all the trees they cut were
Uh-huh.
like in no disturb zone.
Yeah, all
in
the trees,
25 feet next to the marsh.
yeah, all the trees they cut on the right of the driveway next to the marsh were in the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Okay.
Never mind just
So it's a
wetland
marsh
or
there.
anything else. And even the ones that they cut on the left of the driveway were within the 100-foot zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is 37 Allen Street. That is all the cutting that's taking place next to Billy. And as you all know, I also issued him a violation letter on April 10th. He came in the next day, Chapter Lane. It's Chapter Lane's son, David, I think his name is. Anyway, he hired Gary Weiner for the storm water, and he hired Pete Levesque to mark out all of the resource area. I talked to Pete. Pete's also gonna have to, he's doing a plan for reconstructing that wetland, and he has to replant it, and Pete's doing all that work right now. And it's not ready yet, which is why they're not here.
So he did go into the.
He did go in, oh yeah, Pete said he went way in, according to Pete.
Yeah, Pete was actually delineating it for them, so we'll have a
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
definitive.
Unfortunately, when I was there, I'm on the street, I can't go on the property, and I'm
Yeah,
trying
you
to
can't tell.
guess. I said, you know,
Yeah.
unless I'm totally wrong, he's in there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when they go to do the restoration and all, we'll get them to put boundary markers up, and then other people will know for sure.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that. I wanted to ask you, Judy, before I forget, we changed a couple of the special conditions. We added some wording and then added another one at the end about the culvert.
Mhm.
Are you going to I'm assuming that you saved that page. Are you gonna add those things to that page and then send it to me?
I can if you like.
Yeah, because I didn't
I'm not
say-
sure I have all the wording, but you could scan the sheet where you wrote down the wording and then I'll add it on. How about that?
Okay. All right. I just gave it to Cindy, so I'll just,
So you want it back here, and then once you get all the wording, then I'll put it in to the minutes, so we have.
Yeah. She has to send me the signature sheet anyway, so I can sign it, so. We'll just do that all together.
Cool.
okay. All right, I'll get that done tomorrow. Thanks, Cindy.
third item,
There's a third one? What is
yeah,
it?
the complaints on Wilbraham Road. The off.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Downey, has called me several times about, Nick Turnberg's, forest cutting on Wilbraham Road, and it goes back into, whatever street in the back that Mrs. Downey lives on. And, she was complaining because even though Nick has stopped, and Nick wasn't doing it, but there was ATVs and all-terrain bikes in the back, those are whatever, dirt bikes, all in Nick's forest cutting. She spoke to Nick about it, and Nick said he didn't care. So, he didn't care. So, I called, I sent them an email, so it'd be in writing, NHESP first. I explained where the property was and what the complaint was. NHESP wrote me back saying that they didn't have any jurisdiction over what the homeowner or the landowner allows on his property. So they suggested that I call the forester. So I emailed the forester and he said, you know, sorry, but, you know, I'm only concerned about the forest cutting plan, not what the, same thing, not what the homeowner is allowing on his property. So then I went away and I talked to Mrs. Downey today and, you know, I told her what I had and that I would send her copies of the emails tomorrow. So
So
that's that.
there's nothing we can,
There's nothing we
We
can
can
do,
do, yeah.
no,
it's not a wetland area.
right,
Yeah, we were really hoping that Natural Heritage, since they
Yeah,
were overseeing the forest cutting plan there, would say you really can't go driving around on the turtles, but they're not willing to do that. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
yeah,
I couldn't hear what she said.
She just said that she was hoping that they would take a stance because of the turtles,
Oh,
no,
but they're not.
that's what I was saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they didn't. And Mrs. Downey said, I guess, and I don't know the whole story and she didn't, but somehow the police got involved. And, then some neighbor sent their little kid, like 10 years old, over to Mrs. Downey's house and he threw a little sign on her front step saying, save the turtles, and ran away.
Oh,
So
wow.
now she's being harassed by somebody, I don't know. So
Too much.
that's the scoop on that.
Okay,
So anything else, Judy? That's the end of our list.
I think that's it. We're gonna have if everybody turns in what they're supposed to, we're gonna have a busy meeting again in June.
Yep.
Yeah, and I won't be here for June.
Won't be that way.
It's my son's 21st birthday.
So what? You don't want to party with you? You want to
We're
party
on
with?
vacation.
Jeez.
Well, I'll be in the morning, Judy, to take care of this, extra
Okay.
conditions and,
Great.
I will, yeah, I'll send that page to you, then you can redo it, send it back to me, and I'll send it on to Cindy, because she did the minutes tonight.
Yeah, make sure you send me the signature page too,
Do what?
so I
Signature
can
page.
sign.
Oh, yeah, I have that.
Okay. All righty.
All
Talk to you
right.
all tomorrow.
Well, I was gonna say, if we're done, I'll close the meeting
Yes.
and I'll second it. Close the meeting of the Hampden Conservation Commission on May 17th at
7:55.
7:55. Goodbye, Judy.
That was a late meeting.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Judy.
Feeling better.
Quickly. I'm healing up fast.
I gotta find out how to stop this now. Had somebody running it for the last few months and I forgot how to run. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find here and
So
meeting
I
for
will,
all.